My talk is small, light, so forget all seriousness. I am just talking about what mountaineers do apart from climbing mountains. There is a lot of fun, lots of peak of achievement, and everybody enjoys themselves. And all the climbing peaks and all this, by the way. So here I am just going to talk about what I call it the games mountaineers play. What fun we have, eating, talking, joking, and going for lectures. And world over it is the same, as I'll show it to you, that everywhere all persons are enjoying themselves. So that is my talk. So basically, just relax and enjoy this. Now, first, when Everest was climbed in 1953, it was led by John Hunt, but there was Charles Evans, one of the senior members, and when he came home, his daughter Sally asked him, when they were on the top, asked Sally after hearing about Everest, could they touch the sky? No, Sally, rather apologetically he said. Well, after some hard thinking, Sally said, well, then they could not be very high. So similar situation we have. I mean, sometimes I reach home after a short trek, and my two children who have been deprived of a holiday because of my going would ask me, what did you do in the Sorang Valley? And I said, I mean, we went there, we enjoyed ourselves, do this and that. No, don't say that. Did you explore a peak? Did you climb something? Did you tabulate something? Nothing of the sort. That means you did nothing? No. We looked at some plants, flowers, and we enjoyed ourselves, and we came back more as a friend. Well, that means you did nothing. And I admitted, yes, that's what we did, nothing. We were just enjoying ourselves. And that is what a young child who's deprived of a holiday would talk like that. So it began in 1976, laughing at myself. We were young Sikkim had just joined India, and two of us carrying heavy rucksacks as young persons went to Zemu Glacier. We entered one army compound and they treated us well. We had lunch, dinner, sitting down with them. And they said, where are you going? We said, we'll go to Zemu. Then we crossed Tamsungla, we crossed Tungla, and this and that, and all sorts of things. And said, very nice. They were very impressed. Next morning, as we started with these heavy rucksacks, two of us, and everybody was standing out, army, and we kept on saying bye bye, bye bye, and I did not see a little pipe in front of me. So I fell, fat, straight on my face. And with the heavy rucksack, my companion kept on saying, please get up, please get up. How do I get up until you pick up this rucksack? I am completely under 20 kilo of loads. So then I get up, wore my rucksack, and then look back and just wave sheepishly to the army. And you could hear somebody murmur, right, so they said we'll cross this pass and that pass, and here a guy fell down in my compound. So, that was the beginning of our little trip. Now, food is of course the major part. So whenever we are going climbing around in Mumbai, so this is, you have Sir Chris Bonington eating a Gujarati thali. So that was the end of the trek. We went there, ate a lot, and then we all went off to sleep. And nothing more happened than that. Or here we teach Stephen Venables, another leading British mountaineer, how to eat a mango. And this we are sitting in Char Chinar in Kashmir on our expedition to Remo. And he spoiled so much of his shirt. I said, any mother in India would have scolded you. You don't know how to eat a mango, and how can you do like this? And then on the mountain, Venables on our local hill sat down on a little temple statue, and this could have caused riots, maybe, if somebody had seen them doing this here. On mountains, we have this Parsi gentleman, Jasix Boga, who is all the time enjoying. He was a very nice climber, but continuously he has his own methods of enjoying. And here you see a little bit of ice and snow, you just present yourself. And in 1968, I climbed my first peak, Equalary. And as a young boy, enthusiastic, and if you can notice, I put the Indian flag in the reverse. So that was the beginning of my, flag waving things. And Ladakh, when it is very hot, all you can do is put vegetables on your head and ice and sit down like this. So we have these friends waiting with a dudi on their head and shoulder to just keep a little cool. And here we have Paul Nunn, President of the British Mountaineering Council, on your left. So you did not mistake what's happening. That's why everyone has to be clear. Now, when we went first time with Chris Bonington in 1992, he came to Mumbai and he had written 13 books by then. So we had all the books ready to be signed by him. So that's what he made down. He sat down almost half a day because we had 13 sets of 13 books. That's what we kept him. So whole day was kept busy. But in the evening, I don't know if you have it here, but we have an 60th birthday puja to thank God that I have lived a nice 60 years and give me water. So we got a priest who can speak English and he explained to Chris Bonington everything. And to my surprise, he was in tears because he had lost a lot of friends in mountains, and he said, I kept on remembering all of them, and it was a very moving moment. So all this, things go beyond any religion or anything. And here is Victor Saunders, Tony Saunders was behind. He's presenting a BD to Chris. Now Chris is a leading campaigner for anti-tobacco in England. So we said, we'll take this picture and we'll blackmail you in England. If you now do not sort of give us a dinner, then this picture would be circulated all over England and in the press. So that was all the fun. And he is also a techno freak. So at the camp, we will set up a little dark tent and computer with a satellite phone and set up separate email accounts for all of us, whether we require it or not. And suddenly afternoon you are sleeping, resting, and he'll come running, Harish, you got an email, Harish, you got an email. Because I don't want an email. No, it has come, you must look at it. So to satisfy all the technological urges, you got to do this. And it carries a computer and a printer. So here you try to print an envelope, address on the envelope for at least about half an hour and wasted about 30 envelopes, throwing them away because it's not working. So finally I have to sort of tell him, don't you think it will be easier to write it with hand? It never stuck. That's very correct. So that's what it is. And we said on computer, people think that you plan Everest on computer and everything is being done. Here you are playing games on the computer. So he just looked at him sternly and said, we'll never tell this to anybody, isn't it? Yes, I will not. But here the secret is out. And then we played cricket at the base camp. Now they have Jim Curran and Lowther, who are the two country club cricketers, very senior cricketers from England. So we were in a serious trouble. But we won the game because we took all the porters fielding for us. So the poor Britishers could not run and retrieve the ball in mountains whenever it went. So ultimately the game was ours. Now on that trip, we had to do a very serious route selection. The first, Tony Saunders, he went up and found out some very, very khatru route or very, very dangerous route. And going through these crevasses, and we were completely unhappy about this. But this is not the place you can go, Tony, you have to do something. And then finally, there was a little rope and Bonington was climbing, the whole wall collapsed below him. Boom. So now we knew, so I'm pointing from behind. Okay, this is not the route. And would you think, Chris, you would go up this route? And in typical British fashion, he said, oh no, if I were you, I would not come on this route. So I said, that's good enough, we are not coming. So we called this route as a Tony's Terror. And we decided to go on the opposite bank. That equally turned out to be a very difficult route. So where we had lots of ropes fixing and coming up. And they got even with me. If that is Tony's Terror, this one is Harish's Horror. And on the second part of the valley where we went, we had one guide called Dancing, which you see on the left. And now this Dancing promised us that there will be lovely route and excellent things, and there will be a lot of shepherds, and you can have a goat and eat meat on the hoof and everything. But then on the trail on first, second day, he just could not find the route. And then he just told us, last 15 years I have not come here. You should have told me that before. And everybody was getting edgy and restless and everything. Finally, the Britishers lost their brains and said, look, Harish, there is no goat here and no meat here. Shall we cut Dancing and frying? So just hold on, we'll try and solve it. So finally, luckily, Dancing could manage to land us somewhere to the base camp. And as we climbed the mountain, this is Stephen Venables going up difficult Manchachuli 5, which was a very heroic and historic climb. And every time we would get into this sort of a situation, we would come on, take a picture, come on, take a picture. I've never done something serious like this. So we'll take a picture, and ultimately, unfortunately, on the last day he fell. And he was kept at about 22,000 feet. on a small ledge, where finally after 3-4 days of trying, helicopter rescued him. As you will see, only the brave pilots have just landed one ski, and the rotors are a few inches away from the snow. So if anything has happened, the rotor and Venables and everybody would have been dead. But it was one of the most brave rescue, as a co-pilot opened his door and picked up Venables, shouting, howling, because he had his both injuries. Now while traveling, everybody would have, all of you would have found some sort of a treks and jeeps with this famous thing written, like always this, good luck, blow horn, horn okay, use it light, and that is great fun to see while all over. And sometimes they put a very wonderful art somewhere. But this is the best I have seen, as is written, कि कृष्ण करे तो लीला और हम करे तो पाप. That means if God dances with gopis, it is fine. But if we dance with gopis, then you have a problem. And every time there is a little jeep, which is a problem, and you have to spend time, and sometimes you have to stay night in open, which itself is also part of the game, and you spend a very cold, lovely night. And once in Ladakh, the whole jeep was stuck inside in the Chipchap River. It took a hell of a time to get this out. So these are also variety of experience. But then if you look at the funny side of it, it doesn't sound so bad. You know, that we came out, enjoyed ourselves, there was little cooking going on and all the fun. And this is also fun, traveling by bus to Spiti. So in 1983 when we went, there were lots of people climbed onto the bus, and the driver said, I cannot move this bus. And we said, no, I mean, we are all here. Okay, whatever you do, you will beat me up, but the bus only won't move. There is a little slope ahead, which will not allow the bus to move at all, this sleep. So finally, we pushed and it started jumping, and then suddenly bus will have a little pack, then one of the person will fall down and he'll come running like it's a game. Main gir gaya. And there was nothing happening, nobody was bothered. Some of the posters which we find on way in travel to Himachal, where everything is happening, and who looks better, you see, the British friend or the girl. And the professors found out a little spelling mistake, vegetarian, so they are really proudly pointing it out. And this is the most holiest barber shop I have seen. All the variety of gods have been pasted, and there in between you have the barber who is doing things. So it is a very varied thing. And in Kargil, you will find a variety of government posters which are being trying to protect and keep people healthy. And in this one form, there is at least about 10 different English mistakes, which you can point out on this. Visiting from 16 years and all sorts of diseases and sexual week and from 7th and every month on first week. So this doctor must be really crazy, and to go to such a doctor would be absolutely putting your life at risk. By the Hira. Now this was also funny when you found about this is National Highway number 52, and you could see the condition of that highway, and there are big holes inside this. And when you ask the driver that how can you drive and how big are holes? Okay, sir, in monsoons these holes get filled with water, and Arunachali boys learn swimming in that hole. So it is a kind of driving which is a really difficult here. And there are famous Second World War bridges, rail come road bridges, and sometimes you imagine while coming onto this, you are on this bridge and opposite say Dharak fast Rajdhani comes to you, and you are absolutely made a chutney out of yourself. And in Itanagar, the clerk has locked himself inside because he said there is a lot of theft and problem here. So you have to do everything through this jali. Give money or register yourself or give identification. You are all sitting pretty inside. I said, somebody can shoot you from here. He said, no, inside this we have got a steel plate, and I see somebody, I'll get inside this. And then he cannot do anything to me. So this is a problem. And this is one holy Panwala shop. You got everything, you got Christ, Gandhiji, Ram, Lakshman, Shiva, and then Indian film heroines. And everything he said proudly for 10 rupees. You take any poster for 10 rupees, or even my pan is also 10 rupees. And whatever you require, I'll give you this. And this panwala said, anybody eats pan, can look behind you and get the lady. And we asked her, problem? No, it chalta hai sir. So she was not at all bothered about it. But then next to the Panwala there was Parshuram Kund, and we have a poster of Parshuram, the angry god, as we all know, and he was very upset and the poster being put. And here it somehow he was angry because the Kareena Kapoor was next to him. He said, I am completely brahmachari and why do you have this Kareena next to me? And in Daporijo, as you will know, there are small tablets where these two Mithuns, two huge bulls were sacrificed to settle war between two clans, and this one Mithun itself is around 400 kilos and the entire village can almost eat. And there they put up Gandhi Ashram ka foundation stone in 1969. It is still the same, because you don't expect the Arunachalis who eat nothing but meat to ever have to follow Gandhiji in any way about the food. So this has become a very major kind of a joke in Daporijo. Either Gandhiji bhi aata to meat khata hamare sath. And here the truck has one tire missing. Instead of two tires, it's got one tire, and that's where we have to drive. And the guy is asking for lift. Humko leke jao. So it was very, and they all carry this da, Arunachalis. So that's also fun going with him. And here we have Nehru, statue of Nehru at Anini, and there's a big platform they built. And finally they're expecting a huge 6 foot, 7 foot statue of Nehru, and in helicopter only a small statue can come. So finally, they put up Nehru there. So this is the smallest statue of Nehru or the biggest platform you see. So everybody, this becomes a new thing. Then again in Arunachal we have a village called Gandhigram, this name after Gandhiji. And as the story goes, there are few, all different Netas statue arrived, and they did not know who's Gandhiji out of this. So finally they had to send a statue on the left side, you see, with written word Gandhiji behind it. So then the Gandhiji was put on the pedestal. So these villages are so far remote, and that time they knew nothing, so he said, Gandhiji kaun is? So these are the problems they face. Now in Arunachal, there is an army, one of the battalions had put up this, a special order of the day, that we are officially announcing the passing away of the word I can't. And now you cannot say in this battalion that I can't do it. You have to do it when the order is given. And so he put up this little board, and next to it there was a whole funeral procession and the board put up. The poor I can't is dead. So I can't has to, really no press in our vocabulary. And here we are going for a pilgrimage to Pemako. It's a very Buddhist thing, and this gentleman explained to us everything without realizing that Shakira's poster is behind him. So it was a very kind mixture. You had Shakira almost singing behind him, and then he's explained it was all the tenets of Buddha and the pilgrimage. And your army forgot in the ports to put the tent in reverse. And these tents were not used for maybe number of years. So there were so many bugs inside, about 6 months we were just scratching ourselves. And in that area, in remote Arunachal near border, there is a person called Bandarma, and his main hobby and specialty is to kill monkeys. And whatever monkeys he will kill, he'll eat of course, and then hang this khopadis or skulls behind him. And he sleeps underneath this. So I don't know how can you ever get a sleep when you are, under so much of skulls. But then that is the life, that is the travels. And if you find that it is funny eating monkey or snakes, you go to Hong Kong and you find everything that on the restaurant's fancy tables. And on Arunachal we had one person who was constantly bringing a morning, putting up the flag and bringing it down. So when you ask him, what are you doing? He said, I don't know what is this. Somebody has sent me. So I do it this, and then I am told you must salute. So I salute bhi karta hu. So if anybody there or not, they will come, put up down the flag and then salute and go. And this is the furthest possible postal service we have. Taxing, civil letterbox, clearance, God only knows. And about 4 years back we have posted some letters in this, and that has not reached us yet. So I think, this will be the historic letterbox. Now here, my wife is crossing one of the bridge. And the bridge where some planks are missing. So as I was taking a picture, I got a big scolding. What are you taking a picture? Come and help me. Instead of just, sitting down and taking pictures like this. And, so that's where it all goes on, and Arunachal goes a very different and difficult areas. So we have a little clip, when the next time we had a small bridge where she had to cross. This is my wife Geeta coming. I am just showing it out of her, with her permission of course.
The bridges of Arunachal.
And she is walking casually with our porters and joking because we have done this 30-40 bridges all the time. But you can't be at all be careless. There she goes.
Sorry, Geeta, you fell down on camera. Okay, 1 minute.
Okay, so next. Luckily I have her permission to show this, and she was not too angry because we could see the lighter side of it. All the, fun falling down can also be a great fun about it. But this is the most maddest thing I have done, crossing this waterfall in Arunachal. To see the flimsiest of possible of bridges. I will show you to fall, where do you go? One wet little stream, and there you have to jump. And if you slip, you are down into the Subansiri. So now in Arunachal we reached one of the high pass of Yungapla, and there the borders are demarcated, and as you will see this tree, one side is written India, other side is China. These are the kind of a simple match by which two great nations they define their borders, and I hope it all remains so peaceful and nice. And while we are at the foot of it, heavy snowfall started, and we are completely covered. You cannot trek on such a manner because all the trees are covering it. And porter started crumbling, going away. We had no food, and things became very desperate. So this our friend Vijay Kothare, he sat down and on a diary wrote his will. I'll give this to so much, this and that. So we all sort of jumped, come on, give me some money, give me some money. And he was not ready to part it. So finally we were rescued next day by helicopter, and he kept on asking him constantly, kuch paisa diya humko? Their will is to be opened only when the person is dead. So I am alive, so you got nothing. And as we came down, we had the two chiefs. On the right side is one of the Arunachali village headmen. The government has given them red coats. And as I was wearing a red coat, we had a cup of tea together. Two chiefs, all we had a cup of tea. And on the way, we met this couple, and his wife only complained that my husband never laughs. So we tried all sorts of things, jumping, telling him jokes, Hindi mein upar kiya, sidha kiya. Whatever we did, wife was in spirits, but this guy just did not improve his face 1 inch. He remained this maroon and maroon throughout. And we have an Arunachali playing with a small little monkey. They are very good at it. And we had a guide for a guide. On the right side is one Munda who is a completely drug addict and fully on hashish, but he knew the route. But then he would walk, but who is going to interpret it and find us? We had another guide to look after the guide. So this guide will say कि इधर से जाने का, and what he says we just could not understand, but this guide will say कि Munda is saying इधर जाओ. And if Munda by evening he doesn't get his opium shot, then he will forget all the routes. And our faithful porter Har Singh, he has been with me for the last 40 years, and whatever a lot of things I have done is only because of support of people from him and his villages. Now in 1974 I had an accident, which is a very long story, fell down at a very height, and for 13 days I was carried by different methods, including last stretcher. And we waited for 3-4 days. My mind over cut off examines from psychiatric doctor because we were waiting and we were not sure whether the helicopter will come or not. So finally when it came, that became one of the best moment of my life. But then I asked him to put my helicopter down so I could take pictures from the bottom. And that pilot was also very upset. And then the madness continued. Came home, there was a big plaster, and with the plaster we started exercising because I had to remain 6 weeks in plaster. And already we were planning next year kahan jayenge, next year kahan jayenge. and we walked on Marine Drive in Mumbai with crutches, and I saw lots of goodness of Mumbai here. I mean, you're walking on crutches, and even if you ask, nobody stopped the car, but here it started raining, and at least 7-8 cars stopped and said, "Okay, are you trapped here? I can take you home." I said, "No, it's all right. I've just come here to walk and enjoy myself." So that way, once you are down in an adversary, there is lots of help and goodness in people that you will see. And of course, another madness was in the crutches. I went to Pachmadi, where we annually used to go for rock climbing, and I did rappelling down with one leg. And I got big scolding from my doctor for doing this sort of a madness. And Kargil, where my son's Nawang's battalion was posted, so this is on the border of India and Pakistan. What you see territory behind is Pakistan, and they put up all the markers. And from there, you see this within about 60 meters, the whole territory belongs to Pakistan, and this is what is happened. They put up the board. Pak occupied Kashmir 600 meters, Belgaro 8, Olangthang 18, Skardu 129, and Islamabad well within reach. And in Siachen, when you go, you see a lot of this very strange sight. This is a diesel truck which was not starting. So to warm up the diesel, they'll put a fire inside. And then he said it's so cold that there is no question of diesel picking up the fire. You have to warm it. And you cross Shayok River on the way to going to Karakoram Pass at least about 33 times. And it gets horrible, getting into this, and the porters used to all grumble, past janam mein kya humne guna kiya hoga, we have to do this. And sometimes they refuse to cross, you have to push them, you have to throw stones at them, but then it was the most horrible thing that one can do. But then the mules, they do it in great style. You can just sit down on the mule and they will just go across. And they got such great sense that it will not put a false leg. If there is some deepness, automatically they go right and left. How they can sense, it's a wonder. And it's because so good that our Muslim contractor fell in love with mules and he's just giving them a kiss. And the whole caravan goes in a great strength, great statue. And there in the monastery we met a youngest Lama. This about 4-year-old Lama was just commissioned, and we asked him to say prayers, and poor fellow did not know anything. So he kept on repeating with his other friends. Now this is the quotation I found from a Burmese book. The jungles vary so considerably that it is difficult to give an apt general except description. Perhaps the best way to describe a compare jungle is with a beautiful woman. A pin-up dream girl in full technicolor. Cool, alluring and attractive to look at, but once approached and negotiated with, full of greatest possibilities of danger and death to the unwary. And this simile is particularly apt because, like the figure of the pin-up girl, the jungle is never flat. So this had become a very famous quotation for all the war persons there. And this Jim Curran, he climbed a mountain and he came down, and his friends had arranged 2 models to come and meet him. And he thought he's absolutely gone bonkers, he's hallucinating, and his mind is completely gone haywire. And he said, what is happening, what is happening? And ultimately they took this picture. He went to England, he went and met a doctor, something doctor, I'm just hallucinating this, that I'm seeing girls as they come down from there. But then when this picture was produced, they said, look, nothing is, this is just a fun by your friends. And there is, this is the hump when all the planes flew across to Burma and China, this China doll, or you have this new thing, the famous last words. You can drive jeeps anywhere, and here the jeep is falling off the road, which was very dangerous road, the Burma road, which was built. And the planes, they invited the Chinese Dragon because they are all flying to Kunming in China. And then in 1989, I got malaria in the middle of Karakorams, and I was completely debilitating. So we asked the army to send some rescues. So they sent 2-3 people and 1 mule. The mule had no jeans. They are just on the wooden frame on which I had to sit down with my sleeping bag, and sleeping bag would slip. So it was the most painful journey. And the other thing they instructed me, don't get off the mule, whatever happens. Aap utar gaye, the mule bhag jayega. And then you would be left in the middle of Karakorams doing nothing. So I slept, and the mule, whatever you do, the mule will not move. He'll eat grass, he'll do this, and nothing would happen to mule, whatever I do. Finally, as we were nearing the camp, there was a little white smoke coming, and one big plane came and dipped and went away. Now, I did not know what on earth is happening, but the mule knew what is happening. So he started running on the opposite direction. Whatever I do, he'll keep on running and running and running. Because he knew that the second round the plane will come, it will drop lots of parachutes from the top. And some of these parachutes don't open. So this kerosene cage, they fall like a bomb. Boom. So Mule just didn't want to protect himself, so he went the other way. And after about half an hour, when the planes were gone, he returned and took me back to the camp. And sitting on this wooden frame with malaria-ridden body, I was so fed up and tired that they had kept 10 feet away what I had to do. After 2-3 cups of tea, then only I moved. So this Mule episode was very serious. But they had a command that believed in everything. Everything in the world is cured by rum. So you sit down in the camp, relax yourself, eat and drink, and you will be fine. So we had this, and then they put me in this little room where it was written, "Welcome to Camp 1, Tagda Raho." So that was a kind of a thing where you had to recover. And Darjeeling Sherpas also have a great sense of humor. We have yes, Guruji, whom you Topge Sherpa, who was just about 5 feet and laughed at himself and all the time enjoyed it. It was a great time. And that is the main ability, that person can laugh at himself. And I said, you are very short, what to do? Okay, it's an advantage because I don't know to wash the lower part of my sleeping bag. And Tenzing had his own chaps and talking, but then it's a long time. And then on the streets of Darjeeling, we found 2 Sherpas. One on the left, Gyalzan, would climb Manaslu, first ascent and various things. And on the right side is Danam Gyal, famous Sherpas of their times, who were retired from HMI, and they were selling sweaters because they had no pension. They were considered as class 4 employees of the government, and they had to meet their end. They had to sell sweaters to earn about 200-300 rupees. And we said, you must do this, but then nobody was listening to him. So finally we had this photograph of Durji Latu standing in center over the deputy director then, and we publicized this picture as 2 sweater sellers of Darjeeling and 1 future sweater seller of Darjeeling. And that photograph made a lot of impact in Delhi and other places, and finally the pension was restored for all of them. And we organized a meeting for all the Sherpas in the beginning of the millennium. It was cold in January and extremely cold, and we met in the afternoon, and we had organized a lunch, and we said, so, okay, you will have some beer, and we sit down. There was stunned silence, and they said, what? Nice, aap ram se hi chalu karenge. So beer and all that small things was not very suitable to them. And with the British, we had teaching yoga. So on the right side you have Becky, one of the leading models from UK. So everybody was teaching her yoga, and here everybody is trying to help her to cross. So everybody else's shoes got wet, but then Becky came out safe. Sitting down with French and the Gangotri ashram, and the French never thought that you serve everything together. So they thought turn by turn course is coming. So you give them dal, they'll drink up dal. You give them vegetable, they'll eat up vegetable. So we had to tell them, in a thali, everything comes together and then you start eating. So that was also an education. And this is the president of the Himan Club, Anil Kilachan, and we are meditating at Chiltha Devi. And then we had several dancing competitions on the temples or our liaison officer in Karakoram. But then this is the point where Trishul was climbed in 1951, the first Indian expedition that went up. This is Holdsworth, who did a Vrukshasana on the summit of Trishul at 23,000 feet. And not to be outdone, Gurdial Singh did a Shirshasana. So with these 2 poses that the Indian mountaineering actually began. We have a tallest mountaineer and the shortest mountaineer in Ladakh. And we have this tradition of after dinner speech. Here Bill Atkin is speaking in Mumbai. But then you have to become very light, and if you start boring or call a minister, the mountaineers throw shoes which is full of spikes. So you have to be very careful what you are speaking and when. And this to editors, having a cup of tea keeps you fit. And I learned under Soli Mehta, who was Parsi, who was a great editor, and he would come home, forget his specs, and then sit down whole morning just looking at maps, and he'll go back. But it was great fun to learn from him. And R.E. Hawkins was editor of Oxford University Press, was also helping us with the journal. And he was a man of few words and completely, would not be persuaded to anything. So I used to go to his house morning to deliver some manuscript, and he would say, okay, and just not ask you to sit down, have a cup of tea or nothing like that, Indian style, and you go back. So slowly then I stopped going, and I said, I'll send my servant. And servant came after 2 hours. I said, what happened? I was having a tea with him. So I got very mad. He doesn't give me, and now he's talking to my servant giving tea. I said, how did you talk to him? He doesn't, he knows Marathi very well, the local language. And so I went and asked Hawk next time, can you know Marathi? He produced a book, English into Marathi guidebook that he had written. So these are the men of a lot of versatility. And in England, when you go, there are months, I was invited. And here in England, there is annual reunion dinner where one Indian government started introducing me, and he's saying, we have a Gandhi stores in Mumbai who supplies us lots of food and items. So he started introducing that, it's not just cheese and chocolates. We have a Gandhi store will supply us bhel, and Gandhi stores will supply us this, and Gandhi will give us, and Gandhi will give that. So finally the lady next to me on my left turned and said to me, by any chance Mahatma Gandhi was from a family of food suppliers? So that was the end of it. And in Trento Festival, Italian, Charlie Houston brought back a red umbrella from almost near the summit of K2, because that was left by him on the summit of K2. I mean, just little short that we have reached this high point. And the Italians who climbed after him next year brought back that umbrella, thinking that he is forgotten there. So after now so many years, he brought it back with him to Trento, and he said, I'll gift it to the Italians. The Japanese also have their own fun. They have a very enjoyable time. But then they take their mountains very seriously, and everything is done a very methodical and a serious way. So, and all you have to do is, because of the language problem, go by sounds. So if you tell them a good picture, they'll make a sound like, oh. And then the second good picture is more deeper, oh. The third picture is all get up and bow down, oh. So that is how you have to, lecture there. But the main thing is when you land up at airport, since there is always an interpreter with you. And she's explaining to you everything what the Japanese is saying. So certainly after a certain time you reach a standard that you keep on listening to what the lady is telling you and not listen to the person opposite you what he's saying. And you keep on nodding, yes, 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 and this she will be talking. And once he sort of said, he's speaking in English, listen to him. So that also was very difficult to find out. And when they get in fun, there is lots of drinking and there is lots of parties. And here's a gentleman on the extreme right is from Chinese Association, and it was great fun talking to him, but through two interpreters. I'll tell my chap something, he'll tell the other one, and he'll go to Chinese. So by the time one round is finished, it will take about 10 minutes to say, hello, how are you? And it was the time to then fall second time, and this I did on the tarmac of Boston airport, when I was invited to go for American Alpine Club. And there I fell, again in full suited and booted, and my host Teresa kept on looking at me and smiling. Yes, yes, Harish, help me? No, yes, it's fine, it's fine. It's not fine, I am fallen. So then he picked me up and said, why didn't you help me? Like, oh, I thought you were doing some yoga pose, or you are doing some kissing the Boston tarmac, like our Pope did when he came. No, I have simply fallen, there is nothing else. So that was the meeting we had at the Alpine Club. And then back to Kinnaur, where there is Pabar Telecom, as we call it. By evening you will find whole village was rushing up to, there is one spot only by in the evening, about 7-8 o'clock you will get mobile connection. So everybody would go there and we also have to rush with them. And mobile revolution is a big way in India, as you will find this somebody selling shares in middle of Kinnaur, and the Lama is doing prayers, which this client is listening somewhere else. And I had a great time with these Kinnauri girls, talking to them about mobiles and other things. And when they said that, can you give us your phone number? So I told them a landline number. And she was amazed. You don't have mobiles? You're all very poor in Mumbai? So that we had to sort of clarify. Finally, we climbed in 2002 with Pakistani Mountaineers. I am in the center and two of them nearby. They both had climbed K2 and very strong. And our idea was to declare that we all belong to Siachen, and Siachen should be kept peaceful and nice. And it was the year of mountains. But all these things requires lots of faith and bonding between two countries, which was definitely going to take a long time. So here we are on the top of Monch Peak, and we unfurled our flags. And minute the flags were unfurled, my companion told me in my ears, "Apna flag upar kar de." So here we will find our flag a little higher than the Pakistani flag, and that competition on summit of mountain also remains. So this is all the little fun that we have, and this if you do, you reach the peak of achievement. Thank you.